Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM.
Remember, from day one, we started protesting, but the organizers were saying no, but we believe that it was not fair to us. In such competitions, you cannot play a game and rest just a day. You need a day to recover and another day for training so that you can do a lot of corrections. But hey, we are here already. The organizers said, let us play. We decided to come and play. But I believe that we are just down, but we are not out. I don't know where they're coming from, seeing Mali as the second favorite, but that is their choice. We will go in very strongly. As we said, we came into this tournament because people were saying that to be the weakest team because there's no competition in our country, and in our preparation we were losing. But I want to say that we will never go out without a medal. We are sure of qualifying to the World Cup on the day when we meet Mali.
Jimmy Cobbler speaking there, beginning the Joy Sports track for us. Hello and welcome to 99.7 FM and our Monday review/preview show for the week and for the weekend. I'm Gary Al Smith. 15 minutes after 1, it is here in our studios in Kukumlemle. If you're listening to us in Accra or around the country, welcome. If you're listening to us on the internet, via the power of myjoyonline.com, you're also welcome. Jimmy Cobbler, who you just heard, is the coach of the National Under-20 side. There will be a World Cup later this year in Poland, but Ghana will not be there. There will be an African Cup of Nations for the Under-17s. Ghana will also not be there. That competition will be in April. And there will be an Under-17 World Cup in Peru later this year in October. Ghana will not be there as well. These two teams form the bedrock of our youth football, and usually, if they qualify for continental and global tournaments, it gives us an idea of where we are going. And so, I think that it's fair to say that there's something wrong with the system, especially with the under-20 national team failing to get to a World Cup for the second time in a row. So, we'll be doing a bit of introspection here, and I do have a talent scout who has done a lot in terms of harnessing some of these talents over the years. Prince Champong is popularly known as Sabuto, and he's more formally known as the head of physical education at TI Amas, who are serial winners of football competitions in Kumasi and around the country. Thank you very much for your time, Coach Sabuto.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so what was your reaction when you noticed or you heard that we could not make the next stage of the Under-20 AFCON and then subsequently the World Cup this weekend?
Before your question, let me just remind you that just last week Thursday, my school, that's TI Medicinal School, just won the badminton competition. That's the inter-school badminton competition for Ashanti. So not only soccer, hockey, athletics or whatever, we are doing very well in all the sporting disciplines that we take part. Back to your question. It's unfortunate. I felt very bad and then sad because it's looking as if the future is very bad for our nation because all our juvenile teams are out of the competition and we are not going to take part in the World Cup proper. And then, as you said, so many things are going wrong, of which stakeholders need to address these issues. Otherwise, the future will be very, very bad for our mother nation, that's Ghana.
Right. This is your field, this is your area of expertise, and about TI Amas winning, I didn't mention that because it's become almost normal for us to hear that T.I. Amas has won one competition or other. So congratulations again. I'm sure you're tired of even hearing congrats because you seem to do it every year, you guys. Anyway, so what specifically is wrong with the harnessing of talent? I've heard a couple of your colleagues from other regions say that what used to be normal, that is coming down to the grassroots to take the talent, is not what is happening now. Is that true?
To some extent, I would say it's true. But I must also blame our handlers who have been appointed to handle those teams.
The national teams, yeah?
The national teams. Even at our level, at school level, we won't believe this. We have scouts throughout the country.
Yeah.
From the north to down south. And then nobody uses his money to pay these scouts. Personally, we, the PE department, the PE masters, used to give out something to these scouts so that they can keep on bringing us those raw talents so that we also refine them for the use of the school and then the nation as a whole.
Yeah.
Why am I saying the handlers are to blame? Some, or I must say most of them are greedy. You have been appointed as the coach of the national team, being 17 or 20. You will be paid by the nation. You will be receiving per diems and what have you. Don't wait for the government to get you scouts before you work. So if you take something small out of the money that you have been collecting and give it to those people whom you trust, whom you feel they can work for you to deliver, can't they do it that way?
Yeah.
Because you as a person, or as a head coach or as an assistant coach, you cannot go around combing for talent. There are some people on the ground, as you said. Let me just mention Kwesi Febin's name here.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as well.
When he was appointed the coach of the national team around 2011, 2013, thereabout, even before Kwesi, Coach Paul Manson.
Yeah.
Personally, they approached me, they approached others, we all came together, planned, come for them, got them talent. I can't even stop mentioning the names of those talents who passed through our hands for them to be selected into the national team.
Please do. It's important for us to establish that.
Toku, example, Idris, one called Tampico.
Yeah, you know Toku.
Those things. Osman Fraser, my own boy from Sierra Media. Eugene Ajanim Boateng. Look, it's a very long list. I can't even collect all of them.
Sure.
But all that I'm saying is that when you are appointed a national team coach, even at my level as a school coach or even a regional coach, I still use some of my resources to get talent for them to be refined and then being used to get the successes that we have been talking over here. So the coaches have to be blamed. One, maybe they don't go in for the right scouts to help them in that direction. So they just stick to some few areas and then just concentrate on that areas, and then the result is there for all of us to see.
Yeah.
Apart from that, much as the government is doing their best, we need to widen our scope. What I've been saying is that these coaches just rely, because management members or technical committee members help them to even get the appointment to the national team.
Yeah.
They rely on those people to just get them players for them to be used. So it will get to a point that if the players being recommended by these management, so-called management members or what have you, are in the team and they are even not performing, who are you as the coach to drop that player? Meaning selection is even a problem over there. The best ones whom I would say maybe they don't have any godfather, they will be dropped. Whereas those who have big men will be taken to the tournament, and then the results will be bizarre for all of us. So these are some of the factors that is hindering our performance.
How rampant is the problem of having godfathers at the youth level, especially getting into the national team?
That place is very common. Well, these boys, let me take school level for example. Somebody will play into school, he will be having the talent, you will see a lot of scouts on him. These scouts will start dashing out money to their parents for them to be connected to clubs. These boys will land in some clubs, and then lo and behold, you'll see them in the national team. So it's very rampant, even at the youth level, especially 17 and 20.
Yeah.
Because these boys are young, anything small will just convince them to just follow suit. And then when they are brought up there, those raw talents or those talents whom they don't have anybody to
Push
just
them.
support in terms of financial backing and what have you, at the end of the day, they'll be dropped. And then those who have the money, the well with that, they will just move on and then play.
Right. Final question before you go. Now, definitely all these things you are saying are not lost on the people who appoint the national team coaches. Is it a fact, though, that sometimes the very appointments of those who handle these under 17s and under 20s are influenced by the decisions apart from, competence in your experience?
It's even a major factor. What is the criteria to use in selecting a national?
Yeah. Hello?
Hello.
Oh, right. Vincent Odote?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay, for my listeners, I think we've got a bit of a problem. We're talking to Prince Achampong of the TIMR School, but we do have Vincent Odote, former Chief Managing Director of Heart of Folk and now Deputy Minister of Communications. Because he was part of the House of Folk setup that put together the Auroras and all that, will want to contribute to the discussion. We'll try and get Prince Achampong back on the line. So, Mr. Soadote, thank you very much for joining us on the Joy Sports Track. You wanted to chip in on the discussion?
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure. It's been a while. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
My regards to your listeners.
Yes.
Yeah, I just thought that you posed the question, why are we not able to... It's a clear systemic failure. Over the years, we have failed to put a system in place that will ensure that the pool, the availability of youth talent is properly set up, where clubs are required to do things, where then the expertise of people like Sabuto could be leveraged by individual clubs, but then the pool and how the youth clubs are organized are clearly stated as part of GFA rules. Okay. For example, each team should be required to have an under 17 and under 20. It should be mandatory that before every senior league match, every home game, the junior team must play a game. The under 17 and under 20 must play a home game.
Okay.
The distribution of sponsorship funds should be linked to teams who have such youth teams, and then when it comes to putting together the junior national teams, that should be the main source of pull. You see, some time ago, this issue of our reserve league came on, and I said that this reserve league will kill the game. At the moment, the most objective system that people go around Continental, it's based for commercial basis purely, like the academies. They are not interested in looking inwards. That is killing the game. All clubs we must have a system where all clubs have these mandatory teams. Let's go back to the UK and look at how they've been able to build their youth teams. What is being done there? I recall some time ago when even UK sports, they didn't have any youth talent, both in football, in cricket, everything. This is the way they've organized their system. And the blueprints are there. You talk, listen, and I really sympathize with like Sabuto, but there must be a structure where, for example, I don't want to talk about how we set up Royal Oaks, how we revive Auroras, and now we are beginning to reap the benefits of that. That is what each club must be made to do.
Okay, so you see, at the risk of sounding very much like any other program where we just talk, I would actually like you to give us concrete examples of how during your time at Heart of Folk, you were able to set up Royal Oaks and then, revamp the Auroras as well, so that we can have concrete lessons from there. Sure.
We realized clearly that, one, the amount of money we were paying for buying players, our board chairman talked about it was fantastic, about how to build new systems. We look at the Real Madrid, I think well to Real Madrid, had the Manchester City, and it is really not rocket science, Gary. So we realized that in the past, Hearts of Oak has built the club based on Auroras. And then we said, let's go back. So during the last time that I became manager director of Hearts of Oak, with the leadership of Togby, we set up the Royal Oaks. We actually put Auroras in the Division 2 league. And we realized that we need to go further down. So we had a coach that totally, dedicated to the Royal Oaks. We had a coach totally for Auroras.
So just to be clear, the Royal Oaks was under what?
The Royal Oaks is a junior club of Accra Hearts of Oak.
Yeah, so under 15 sort of.
Yes, under 15.
Under 15.
The Royal Oaks was under 15.
Right.
And then we set up the Auroras again, the under 20. And so it was like a separate business unit within the structure of Hearts of Oak. Yes.
Mr. Odote, give me a second. Let me go to Sabuto again, because I want to pose something that you just mentioned to him, because he actually does the scouting. So, Coach Sabuto, thank you for staying with us and welcome back onto the line. But we've heard Mr. So Odote speak about Royal Oaks under 15 and then under 17. He wishes that it is mandatory for every club. But you tell me, all this is money. Is it possible? Is it feasible? Can it be done, knowing how the system works and how much clubs have to spend on taking care of these under 15s and 17s?
Yeah, it could be done. It's not even difficult to do this.
I see.
You'll be having 40 players as your main team players. Now, what are you using those 40 players for? 40 players. What are you using them? At most, about 22, 23 will be playing. The 17 will be useless, collecting big salaries, signing on fees, and then doing whatever. So can't we just say, bring in a policy and say, for the senior side, we are all registering 25 players, and then you get a young or youth, a second team that's made up of the youth, maybe between 15 and 20, 15, making up 40, so that at least you give these young boys some allowances, because they will not be signing any professional contract.
Yeah.
Yes. Aside this, the line dropped when I was about to say
yes,
something.
please.
The politics in our game is too much. What is the criteria before appointing a national team coach for under 17 and under 20? Some will say if you don't have MPP card, you will not be appointed. If you don't have NDC card, you will not be appointed.
Really?
Must be stopped.
Really?
The politics, I'm telling you something today. You should stop politicizing those issues and get in a qualified, a competent person. Because I know for sure that when you want to be an under 17 coach, Master, it's different from that blaster job. The work is very, very tedious.
Yeah.
And then you need to understand the language of these young boys and girls. Ask yourself, most of those who have been appointed as national under 17 coaches, have they handled small boys and girls before? The answer is no.
Okay.
So it's a very big problem.
Right. Let's bring this discussion home, because I know both of you are very busy men. Coach, I'll come to you, but Mr. Oso Adote, you've made great points about the structure and how we can do it. Coach has let us understand that this can be done. So now let's bring the discussion home. The normalization committee, thankfully, we are in a new phase and we can reboot, we can recharge, we can rejuvenate everything. What specifically would you want them to do so that we don't miss any more under 17 African Cups and World Cups and under 20 African Cups and World Cups?
Yeah, Gary, without specifically talking to the normalization committee, my contribution will be that one, it must be made mandatory. Sponsorship that we get for the Premier League must be linked to clubs who have junior sides.
Okay.
The structure in terms of contracting, the way the youth are recruited, the way are kept, must all be spelled out clearly in the GFA rules and regulations. The pool of talent for under 17 and under 17 must only come from these recognized clubs, and then so that when we want to look out for where to get players, the national team coaches travel to all these venues, so that they look at the stock of talent that these clubs have over time. You spoke about sponsorship. I believe at the beginning, in the immediate to the medium term, is going to be very demanding. But I'm telling you that in the long run, it makes economic sense, it makes competitive sense, it makes strategic sense both for the clubs, and it makes strategic sense both for the development and sustainable at the position of the whole Ghana football product as a brand. And unless you see, I've said that football is a business managed, is associative in nature. So the regulator or the FA must play a role in ensuring standards. And these are some of the failures of the FA in the past.
Yeah.
And that is why we are where we are. If we want to pick up under 17, is there an objective means that we go? Where do we go to? The academies, will they release their players to you? Are we relying on the benevolence of people like Saputo? Or what do we do? You see, when I was managing King Faisal, I learned a lot from Alhaji Grunza. How he was able to churn out a lot of these youth teams, the players that he used to churn out. How there are several models, Gary.
Okay.
That if the people at the FA and those money will sit down and think through properly, there could be a model that we design for Ghana that will ensure that we always have a clear and a transparent means of choosing our youth players, where people will not complain that somebody is doing anything shady, where we'll always have a conveyor belt of talent. At the moment, that system has all failed.
All right.
That system has totally failed. That is where we are. We must do something that must discourage the design of youth football for external market to the detriment of the domestic market. People can have don't get me wrong, people can have their academies.
Their player selling businesses, yeah.
Sorry?
Their player selling businesses.
Yeah, player selling businesses. People can have it. But if we have a one system which is beneficial to everyone, all things being equal, people will begin to realize that you need to play in the domestic youth league, like the way we used to have the coach. We need to do that. That would be more beneficial. That gives you more leverage, that exposure, the people to see you, and ultimately it becomes a model like the amount of money John Terry alone was able to make for Chelsea, catered for all the expenditure they made on their youth football. It is well documented. So it is a systemic failure.
Okay.
Leadership failure. And over the years, this is where, unfortunately, we have allowed football to come to. If we don't change that, when it comes to doing under 20, under 17, we do funny things about age. We go and get people to do something which is not well structured. Unfortunately, we'll be where we are.
Fantastic. Mr. Soadote, thank you very much for your time. Coach Sabuto, your final words as well. I mean, I'm particularly interested in what... Hello, Coach Sabuto?
Yes,
your final words. So we know that it can be done. I mean, and I'm particularly happy that we are at this point because, you see, maybe if we had qualified for under 17 World Cup, under 17 African Cup, and then under 20 World Cup as well, it would have papered over the cracks and would have said, all everything, yes, all is well. Now this has happened. Maybe we have to take a few steps back before we go forward. Your final words.
Yeah, one, that policy of having maybe under 17 curtain raiser matches should come back. So that these things should be mandated to register minimum of 15 young players so that they will play curtain raiser matches. 2, this year happens to be even a regional year, inter-school or inter-regional competition. This year we are going to Bolga. So I'll be expecting maybe technical people, the technical committee to even appoint some coaches
to come there.
Go there and then scout for talent. So that those who are selected can be, they will form the nucleus of our national team, that under 17. Then those curtain raiser matches that we'll be playing to go along so that coaches can also select players and add up to those who have been selected at the regional for a start.
Right.
And then in the appointment of coaches for the national under 17 and then 20, they should let us know the criteria. As I said, it's different from coaching the Black Stars or the Black Meteors. Under 17 coaching is a very, very tedious job, and you need somebody or some people who understand the language of these young children. Otherwise, things will be like this forever and forever.
Thank you very much, Prince Achampong, aka Coach Sabuto. We appreciate your time and your insight. Things can be fixed. Yes. And all the best. And congrats again on winning. Keep winning. Right. So that's about the discussion on the under-17s and under-20s. We may not have qualified for the recent ones, but definitely it looks like things can be fixed easily. Just stop the politics, bring back the curtain raisers, make it mandatory for teams to have under-17s and under-15s. We are told that financially, which is usually a problem, it can be done. And so it's not really a problem, as we've been told by the men who have done it and who continue to do it. Hans Mensando is with me in the studio. Yes, Hans.
To an extent, I disagree. Because with the assertion that the clubs should have their under-17s and their under-20s and whatever. I disagree because we've tried it and it doesn't seem to be working.
No, it's different from the reserve league.
Well, whichever way you're looking at it, either way, we are looking at clubs that by themselves are struggling financially.
Yeah.
And so if they add on the responsibility...
That's why I asked Coach Sabuto.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, you heard him in the interview, he said it doesn't take much.
Well, it doesn't take, but it takes something. Do the clubs have that something? That is the point.
And so Adote's idea is that the sponsorship given to the clubs should be given to or pair, proportionally to the teams that have under-17s and under-20s.
It all looks good on paper. For me, I wish they'll be able to do it and implement it very well. But I have a problem with the way sometimes we pick practices elsewhere and try to do it down here.
No, but we used to do it here.
No. The previous practice was this. The business of churning out talent, developing talent, was informally outsourced. I'm saying informally because it wasn't something that was deliberate.
Sure.
The courts clubs, the courts leagues, the court system, if you like. What happened along the line was this, and I'm speaking the reality. People got too wise, and other people also became wise, and that was the end of it. Now, let me give you a typical example. For every court club, there is one person who sacrificed everything to churn out player after player after player, year in, year out, for Premier League clubs. These clubs take these players, sell them on, and refuse to give these court clubs and the people who develop these players their due. You get a picture.
Yeah.
And so it gets to a point where it becomes a disincentive. The other example, somebody spends his time and resources, churns out brilliant players that are good enough to play for the national teams, and then they are demanding bribes from them before these players are called up into the national teams. How do you expect these people to get the money to pay these bribes?
So my first answer to your first worry is that's why FIFA has developed very specific rules. So right now we have what we call the TMS, the
transfer matching system.
Yes, the TMS system.
Yeah.
If I have a player right now, he's 15, 16, 17 years, there's a process. You register him, he has a card. He belongs to me.
Then let's go back.
No, that is what we
have.
Then
for me, let's go back.
So
let's go back to the
code system.
Because
for me.
Then let's go back to the code system.
Yes.
Make the people understand that, look, this time around, there's a system that ensures that when you develop a player, you're going to get what you are due. Because for me, the business of developing talent, I don't think that the clubs can handle it. I honestly don't think that the clubs can handle it. Look, they will talk about the fact that they will do it, but the motivation won't be there. See, it takes a different kind of motivation to commit time to developing players.
But I've seen in the long run, like Odotesua said, it is cheaper.
It is
cheaper. If you are Heart of Oak, which he was managing director of, and you see the preamble he gave talks about everything we are worried about, Hans. He speaks about the fact that Hearts used to take a lot of money to buy already made players, and they decided that look, this is not sustainable in the long run.
Okay.
You can take a fraction of that, have a couple of boys, give them allowances, and Coach Abuto said they don't need to sign professional contracts. So all they need to do is to have a certain system where you give them allowances.
My issue is this.
Yes.
Will we've only talked about Hearts of Oak.
Yes.
Will the other clubs be committed to doing this? For me, I think that the previous system where you allowed the coach clubs to develop the talent and then it becomes
Dreams
a feeder.
FC do it. Even Dreams FC, they do it. How much money do they have?
And then it becomes a feeder for the Premier League clubs. For me, it was working because we consistently churned out the talent. Look, we can mention the Hearts of Oak team that won the 2000 and the number of them who went through the coach ones.
Yes.
Okay, if we can go back to that coach system, and Coach Jay Isapo mentioned it on Scoreboard on Saturday. If we can go back to the system, and then assure people who spend their time and resources to develop these players
that you'll be well compensated.
That you'll be well compensated. I think that it works. Then the clubs can only look at, because look, previously, We had a court system that was more exciting than the Division 3 league, than the Division 2 league, probably maybe more than Division 1 league.
Yeah.
You understand me? Yeah. Because all the Premier League clubs had their focus there. I don't know how many Premier League clubs were picking players from second division. You understand? So, for me, I don't think that we need to touch the court system, really. The academy system is not for us for various reasons. Sure. Because you need to build infrastructure and it is capital intensive. Money, we ultimately don't have. Let's go back to the court system. Let's streamline it, structure it properly, give people assurances because, look, they are there. The people are committed to it. I saw on Sadiq Adams' War a man who, somewhere in Kumasi, who has been developing talent over the years. Brong-Ahafo region. And look, no disrespect to the man that I saw, but if you look at him, you get a sense that
he doesn't look like somebody who has made money.
Absolutely.
So
that's the point
even
I'm
in this
making.
under-20 team that has just failed to qualify for the World Cup, there's a Gad Mamobi, a very popular Gad Mamobi, who alone has about 3 players that he picked from the streets there. And this guy, over the last 4 or 5 years, he's produced, but he's a very ordinary guy.
People are there, but they are not getting what they are due. And so people are getting wiser. Quick point. A very, very quick point on the selection criteria for the... Look, let's not pretend. I think we know. The Ghana Football Association, there's not a proper administration now. And I've always been making this point. The normalization committee have got to leave a moral blueprint. It is not merely about reviewing the statute, but they need to set examples that the next administration must follow. There was a situation where people on the various committees for the national teams, the management committees for the national teams, had slots,
for players.
For players, we know this. This is common knowledge.
Yeah.
You understand? And it's gone on for a very, very long time. It didn't start during the Yanteji year. Let's not kid ourselves.
Sure.
It's been there for a very, very long time. I've seen cracking players drop from our junior national teams for years. I can mention...
Too many.
You understand me?
Yeah.
Let's put a stop to these things. They are very good players who deserve to be selected. Let's look at them and tell ourselves the truth. This boy is better than this boy. Let's not pick another player because his manager or maybe his father or somebody else can pay and then leave a proper player who can go out there and represent the country properly, languishing at the bottom.
Right. Hans Mensando, thank you very much. And that's it for the youth discussion that we've had. Pretty cracking. I really wanted us to leave that segment with concrete stuff, not just the talk shop. And I've seen a few comments already on Facebook about why are we not talking about how bad the coach... No. It has happened. I'm not going to cry over spilled milk here on this show. I'm more concerned about the future and about qualifying for things later. So that's about it. Now, talking about qualifying, there's a serious matter of Kotoko and whether they can qualify for something this week. So we'll go straight to Kumasi and speak to Kelvin Osuansa of Love FM. Kelvin.
Hello, Gary.
Yeah. We took a bit of your time with the youth discussion, became a bit passionate. But before we go into the main matter of Kotoko playing Al Hilal in the second leg again, I mean, a word on how well Kotoko have done recently, with mixing some of their youth players with acquisitions from elsewhere, and how well it has served them so far.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. And I think that process has really been, positive. And if you ask me to rate, I think about 75% they've really done well with that. And it started from Pakwesi Fabian when he came in.
The same Pakwesi Fabian that Sabuto was mentioning.
Yes. He started the whole process. And when he came in and he decided to bring the likes of Richardson and Emmanuel Ajimambedu, that central defender who has become, the crux of that central defensive unit, in the Prince Aqua, the likes of Emmanuel Jemfi, they can still rely on some others like Maxwell Bakon and that new goalkeeper that they bought from, that is Mediama Esi Muntari Tego. And for me, I feel that they've really done a very good job in blending the youth with the oldies. The likes of Amos Frimpong still around, Augustin Sefani, Tigo, member of the team, and Felix Anan has always trusted goalkeeper. For me, I think the process has really been smooth, and we just hope that continuity would really bring a very solid force to Kumasi Asante Kotoko. CK Akona, as we know, is one of the coaches who would always want to promote the youngsters and believes in the youth.
He likes
he's
that,
also he's also developed on it and really going on well with it. He wanted a number of players who were much younger than those he brought in before the start of the Confederations Cup. He didn't get them, but he's cool with what he has now, and hopefully he can really rely on them.
This is a good point to start a discussion on the game that we are going to see on Wednesday, because in the first leg, I mean, if you watch the game, Al Hilal seemed to have a bit more experience than Kotoko's players. You know, I don't know what the discussion is in Kumasi on the radio stations and the media is like, but is there a sense that this Kotoko team is good, but we need to have patience for them even if they don't qualify?
Very well, and that has been the message that is being sent across, and the coach even admits that he feels that some of his players really need a lot of exposure before they can really reach the heights when it comes to African club football. And you look at some of the players, and they even attested to the fact that it was a different feeling altogether for them playing in the night under floodlight, and they really picked up a lot of experience in from there. And from the discussions on radio, they really tell this is an entirely new team. And as much as CK Akona is trying to build on from where Parkwesi Faben left, there are still new players, a number of very new players that have joined in the team. Kwame Bonsu has pushed out Prince Akwa, Amato Bako has pushed out Jordan Opoku, Ganiyu has pushed out a central defender like Wahab Adams, and then Habib Mohamed and Abbas Mohamed gradually coming into the lateral defensive unit. Sonia Yakuba pushing out the likes of Obed Owusu and Safi also trying his bits in there for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. So they really feel that it needs some gradual time or process for the team to really gel well and compete with teams in Africa, and especially when they are playing against Zesco United. They feel that Al Hilal wasn't really the biggest test for Asante Kotoko, and one defensive lapse let the team down in that game, and they should really expect a very tough opposition from Zesco, who have been consistent in Africa club football in the past decade.
Right, so we spoke about what we should expect from Kotoko before the second leg against Al Hilal, but of course they are playing Zesco on Wednesday. And as we know, and we saw over the weekend, I'm sure you saw that stats about the fact that Zesco have come into West Africa. In the last 5 occasions they have come into West Africa, they have not lost. Yeah. So Kotoko know that they are up against something. What are we hearing from the Porcupine Warriors in terms of the team? Are they going to start with the same team, maintain the consistency of the team that started against Al Hilal and Cotton Sports away?
Well, clearly, you look at the team and it gives you an indication that CK Akona is going to stick with his 11 that played against Cotton Sport and Al Hilal. But probably there may be changes in that lateral defensive position. That is, Augustin Sefa may make a way for Habib Mohamed, that youngster who joined from Ashanti Gold on a free transfer. Because looking at the past training sessions and even the game that they played on Saturday at the Adakojache training complex, he used Habib at right back position, and clearly gives an indication that he would really want to try.
That's interesting.
Habib. Yes, he would really want to try Habib out. Amos has been solid in the games that they've played so far, so he really trusts him, especially as a captain of the team, to be part of that defensive unit. But Augustin Sefa has had a topsy-turvy performance in the games that he's played. So apart from that position, you would really want to see all the players, or from what Marcia Asante Kotoko training sessions and training games have been looking like, he's going to trust the 11 he played against Cotton Sport and Al Hilal, with the exception of Augustin Sefa, who may probably walk out for Habib Mohamed to play at right back, and Amos will move to left back.
Interesting. In that case, I mean, I can imagine a lot of Kotoko fans listening in and saying, but Yakuba was not all that good, especially in the last game. Immediately they got to the airport, I mean, a journalist asked him about this player, and CK defended him and said that he probably just had a bad day at the office.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he's been saying. And I think I had a chat with him on Saturday right after their friendly game with the firepower of his attack. And he admitted that he would really wish that Yakuba was scoring in a lot of goals. But looking at his general contribution to the game, he really feels that he's doing his best. He doesn't want to put pressure on him. All he needs to do is to concentrate. And he hopes that with the acquisition of the new player, the guy who's joined the team,
the Ivorian from the Ivory Coast.
The Ivorian. He would bring in that sort of competition, and it may help Yakuba to also work much more on his finishing. And I think to go off Asante Kotoko a little bit, I saw the Zesco United team train today at the Paju Stadium at 10:50 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And you could see very clearly that they were relying on shooting from afar, long-range efforts, because they feel that Kotoko would probably have a very good unit, as we've seen from recent games, and probably they can have an opportunity. And some of the fans who were present, though they couldn't make it into the stadium, they were outside. And as Pajo Stadium is, you can watch from the barbed wire that has been used as a fence for the stadium. And the concern was how their strikers can also, or the attacking unit can also fire from afar, and it's when it becomes difficult for the likes of Maxwell Bako and Emmanuel Jenfi to run through the channels in the opponent's defensive units, how they are going to get goals. And I really feel that is the concern, and listening to what they said, maybe they will channel it out to Sika Akone and the technical team today, when probably they troop to the stadium to watch Kotoko train also. So for me, I feel Sika Akone knows what is at stake, and he really is working on his attacking unit to try see the right blend and the right tactics to help his attackers get in a lot of goals. He cannot afford to even settle for a draw. As he said, a win is a must for him, and it would really set Kotoko on a very good tone for the group stage.
Yeah, and then on the subject of coming into the stadium, I know Asante Kotoko have been on a serious publicity drive, going to some magazine, going to some of the educational institutions, some of the corporate institutions, which led to the change in the kickoff time. Initially, we know it was 1 p.m. It's been changed to 4 p.m. to make sure that people get to the stadium on Wednesday. How is that going? What's the response like?
Well, the response has been very positive, especially the fans who were contemplating on that early time when it was 1 p.m. for the game. But now they are cool with the time, 4 p.m., and they know that at 3 p.m. probably their bosses at the office would
allow them.
Release them to go to the stadium. And that is the message the Kotoko team, or do I say the management, are sending now to the various bodies to allow their workers at least 3 p.m. to leave their offices and then try get to the stadium before the game begins. And also, there's been this reach out to most of, the CEOs of companies who normally buy tickets and share to the supporters through the media outlets, that they should also come on board to help. And we've seen positive signs of some of the CEOs, and as I'm speaking, Insura FM has about 300 tickets from these CEOs to share freely to the fans who would be willing to come to the stadium. And they've rechanneled their energies into distributing flyers and also flags, mini flags, just to generate that red feeling and red atmosphere at the Kumasi Barbara Sports Stadium on Wednesday to urge on their players and the technical team to get the very best of results.
Should be fun. Thank you very much, Kelvin Osu-Ansah, for that update. Concise, top man as always. We appreciate it.
You're always welcome, Gary.
So, things will be read on Wednesday, hopefully, and that match will be at 4 p.m., which means that it should be finishing around, George, 6. 6. Yeah, hopefully we'll be reporting that Kotoko have beaten Zesco.
Hans will give them everything on Newsnight.
They are a problematic team.
So on Newsnight.
So Hans, so that's the plan. We are making a plan for Wednesday.
Yes.
So 4 p.m. is kickoff. We'll be having the build-up on myjoyonline.com. We'll have an update on the Pulse on TV at 4:30 on Joy News Channel.
Yes.
Then by 6, the game will be done. Hopefully, Kotoko would have won. And then Hans will give the update around 6:50. That's 10 to 7.
That's right.
And then An hour later, George will be coming to do something as well. Just after the Kotoko game, when everybody is jubilating, I know the Hearts fans will not be happy, but
It's time to separate the boys from the men. Time to make a proper claim of your willingness to go all the way. A time for the fans to scream, cheer, and suffer the pain. Time to get bolder on the European night on Joy 99.7 FM as the UEFA Champions League moves up a notch with mouth-watering clashes.
Cut the music! Charge your glass! He writes every headline.
So join me, George Addo Jr.
And me, Gary Al Smith, from the 12th of February to the 13th of March
for apt live commentary of the UEFA Champions League round of 16 game.
European Night on Joy 99.7 FM is proudly sponsored by Bet138.com, supported by DSTV and GoTV, and powered by Joy Sports, the thrill of the game.
Goes to 2. What an absolute thrill.
There we go. So, quickly, George, we've got a few seconds, and it's tomorrow.
Yes, we're starting tomorrow. I know most of you can't wait. Well, we're going to be with you, definitely. Build up at 7:40. And we're going all the way. The commentary will start at 8 p.m. and we'll give you that. Tomorrow we're dealing with Manchester United versus Paris Saint-Germain. You know the subplots to this.
Plenty.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing his magic. Can he weave another one in front of these French giants? It's another thing we'll have to look out for. And we'll be giving you updates on the other game between AS Roma and FC Porto as we go. And then on Wednesday, we have the game Tottenham Hotspur up against Borussia Dortmund. That game is for you on Wednesday. And we'll be giving you updates on the Ajax Real Madrid game as we go. So it's just the beginning of the round of 16. And we know at this stage, full-time is half-time in the tie. Yeah.
Full-time is half-time in the tie. Many thanks, George Addo Jr. Also, don't forget that on social media, we are amping up the build-up. So on Facebook, we have the Joy FM event. You can just subscribe to it and indicate that you are joining us. Leave your score predictions there. Way ahead of the game, we'll be discussing it on Twitter. The hashtag is JoyUCL. And of course, we will be doing your comments on WhatsApp and Facebook during the match. I'm Gary Al Smith. Thank you for your time, and this has been the Joy Sports Track. I'll be back next week with more. Bye-bye.